Hi, I'm Taro. I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner, and today I'd like to talk about posture. And one of the questions that I get asked by my clients a lot is, how can I improve my posture? I have a really bad posture. I want to improve my posture. I've done an exercises, I've done some stretching, and then I'm trying to pay attention to my posture so that I can correct my posture, I can improve my posture, but it's so hard. Um, and have you had that experience? And so in this video today, I'm going to talk about posture and how you can actually improve it, and from a slightly different perspective, and from a perspective of the Feldenkrais method too. So first, posture. So there are three things, and the three key points that I'd like to talk about. In talking a posture. So the number one posture is movement. And oftentimes, I think one of the misunderstanding about posture is that people think the posture is a static position, uh, like just a frame shot, okay, of posture being just the one place to be in, right? And a lot of times the people think the good posture, ideal posture is the head over the spine, spine over the pelvis, so as everything is straight, perfectly straight. And that's for a lot of people how they describe the best posture, ideal posture, right? So that's number one. So the posture is not a static position, but it is rather a movement, or part of the movement. And number two, posture is controlled by subconscious part of the brain. And and what that means is that the subconscious part of the brain is constantly adjusting the posture. And even though uh, when you're sitting or standing still, and there is a slight movement, a subtle movement, constantly the body's movement, and then the brain is constantly making an adjustment to maintain to maintain a balance. And because the subconsciousness controls the posture and maintains the posture, um, when you try to consciously uh, maintain or improve or change your posture, it is really, really hard to do that, because you think about it, it's almost impossible to constantly pay attention to your posture all the time, right? Because whether you're at work or you're with your kids playing, doing whatever, right? And are you thinking about your posture? Are you paying attention to your posture? Probably not, right? And when you're driving, when you're doing something, and your attention shifts from one thing to the next thing very, very quickly, right? And therefore, it's almost impossible to change your posture by consciously trying to think about your posture, right? And another thing is, yeah, you're trying to stretch the neck muscles or stretch the back muscles, strengthen some muscles, and trying to change your posture. Maybe not so much, right? Um, so the number two was, okay, so the subconscious brain and controls and adjusts your posture. And then number three, uh, postural uh, posture and the movement habits. And so because almost all the movements are habitual and individualized, right? And one person's posture and the movement is very different from somebody else, right? There are 10 different people and 10 different postures and 10 different movements. And I don't know what your postural habit is like and what your movement habit is like, but for me, um, it's easy to round my back when I'm sitting. And for some people, are more comfortable and they tend to arch their back slightly. Or for some people, they tend to round the upper back and then arch the lower back. And there are many, many different the biases in the habitual patterns, right, in the posture. So it's very different from a person to person. And because it is habitual, and then habitual movements and habitual postures are again controlled by subconscious brain, right? And so most of the time, we're not really paying attention to our posture or what we're doing, or how we're moving. And so you can say that your posture is, for the most part, is adjusted and controlled by the subconscious brain, right? So just go over the three things and three key points that I just mentioned. Number one, posture is movement, not a static position. And number two, subconscious brain controls. And the subconscious brain controls posture, adjusts the posture. And number three, movement habits and postural habits. And so from those three things, right, understanding those three things, and now the next question is, so how can I actually improve my posture? So what should I do? What can I change? So now I'm saying that really paying attention, consciously paying attention to posture isn't really going to change your posture, right? So the key point number one is the posture is movement. So if you want to improve your posture, right, and you want to think about improving movements, and also not just the movement random, but also you think about your habitual movement patterns, right? And the key thing is recognizing your habitual movement patterns first, right? When you sit, how do you tend to sit, and what's your sitting bias? Do you tend to sit with the arch, with the lower back arched, or with the mid back and upper back rounded, or the opposite, or you tend to sit leaning, shifting to the one side or the other side? Okay, and what's your bias and how your head tends to be? Okay, and just observing and recognizing your own habitual patterns, right? Habitual movement patterns. I'm not talking about just being in that position, but I'm thinking and I'm talking about habitual patterns, habitual posture patterns as a habitual movement patterns, right? And for somebody who tends to round the back, and then they tend to do the movements that lead to the same movements, the rounding the back. And somebody who tends to arch their low back, and then they tend to do the movements that are arching the back. So first, just paying attention to your habitual movement patterns, and then from there, it would be really, really helpful to start to do some of the exercises that address and that actually include some of the movements that you don't tend to do it. And by doing that, I call it the non-habitual movement patterns, right? By starts to practicing the non-habitual movement patterns, which are very unfamiliar and new movement patterns to you and to your nervous system. And so basically, you're providing a lot of new information and input to the brain, to the nervous system, and whether it's a conscious or subconscious. And then over time, and subconscious brain is going to gather that information and then starts to readjust what the neutral posture is for that each person, right? And just because because of your habitual patterns is to round the back and the mid back and upper back, and not so much moving into the opposite directions in normal activities, and the brain doesn't recognize that movements and that moving into that direction, not as much as going to this way. But now once you start to actually practice that movement and then the brain starts to receive the information that there's actually the movements and can take place in the opposite direction, not just into the direction. And once the more the brain recognizes the new patterns and then starts to integrate that patterns, and then your posture and um, is going to change because subconscious and brain assimilated the information and starts to change, influence, and adjust the posture. Okay, so this may not really make a lot of sense because I'm not really, I'm only talking about posture, and I'm not really giving you or showing you any particular exercises that well, you can maybe try that. You can try to experience what I'm talking about. So I am going to make another video or maybe two to show you just some simple exercises that you can do, incorporate, and to improve your posture. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so thank you, and I hope you enjoy the video. All right, if you like the video, and please don't forget to subscribe. All right, and if you do have any questions and any comments and feedback, and please, I appreciate just to give me a feedback in the comments, and just leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. So thank you. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.